Okay, here is our math video for the day. And the first thing I'm going to do is go over a quick fraction review. Okay, what is a fraction? Well, let's go back and talk about this. Let's say I have 3. Well, I have this. This is what I have. Okay. How do I describe that? Well, those are hearts. Well, how many hearts are there? Well, there's 3. And to show that there are 3 whole hearts, I would use the symbol 3. But what if I had this? And just that. Do I have 3 whole hearts? No. Do I have 2 whole hearts? No. Do I have 1 whole heart? No, I don't even have 1 whole heart. I just have this. Well, what is this? How do we describe that? That's where fractions come in, and that's why we have them. We have to be able to describe in life parts of a whole thing, anything, candy bars, part of flour, parts of anything, part of this paper towel, part of this glass, if I needed to have equal parts of it. Well, in this situation, I've got a picture of a heart, and I want to describe that, and I'm going to describe it using a fraction. Okay, and fractions have a numerator, which you know, a fraction bar, and a denominator. The denominator, once I identify what my whole is, and I've identified that it's a heart, a whole heart, 1 whole heart, okay, how is that whole divided? That's what my denominator tells me. 2. This is divided into 2 equal parts. And my numerator is how I describe what I use to describe the part of the whole that I want to talk about. And I want to talk about that shaded part, which is one of the 2 parts is shaded. So 1/2 of this heart is shaded. And you guys know, well, what if both parts were shaded? Then we would describe that as 2 of the 2 parts are shaded, which you know is 1 whole heart now. Okay, so you can describe a whole as a fractional number. Okay, now you also know that we could be talking about sets. Let's say we're in the classroom and we have our 4 tables and we have our kids at the table. Okay, and now I want to say, let's say I asked a question and this group got it right and this group got it right, got it correct. Okay, how would I describe that? Okay, well, as a fraction, I could do it like this. I could describe it, well, how many groups do I have? So if I've identified this whole set, okay, and I have 4 groups, so that is my denominator. Okay, and then how many tables of the 4 groups answer correctly? Well, 2 did, right? I could also say, if you look at that, 2 out of 4, that is also the same thing as, look, half of the class, and 2 is half of 4, 1 is half of 2, and you can see that, yeah, half of the class got that correct. Okay, I could also switch gears and describe this if I wanted to as my whole class, and I could say, well, how many, instead of looking at it as groups, I could look at it as students. And so now instead of groups being my whole, I'm going to switch over to students. So my denominator is going to change. How many students do I have? Well, I have 4, 8, 12, 16. So out of my whole class, all the students, that's 16. How many students got it right? We're going to say this table and this table still got it right. How many students was that? It was 8. And if you can see, if you look at that and look at your relationships, your number of relationships, is 8 half of 16? If I double 8, will I get 16? Yeah. If I take 16 and divide it by 2, is that 8? Yeah. So 8 is half of 16. So 8/16 is the same thing as half, right? So there's a little connection, hopefully. And that's all review too still. Now we're going to talk about different models. Okay, common models you see are a circle model, we usually say this is a pizza in class. Let's say it's divided into fourths. So there's my fraction bar in fourths, and I'm not describing any parts of it, so I'm just going to leave it like that. If I divide that each part equally again, that changes it to what? Eighths. If I double each fourth, I get eighths. And you can kind of predict what would happen if I doubled each eighth. Well, I didn't double it. I divided it into more parts. Okay, and I messed up. Let's just pretend that's perfect. And if I double the number of parts, I get 16. Okay, and you can keep on predicting if I doubled each 16th, what would I get? And we talked about that in class. Okay, so there's our circle model. Next model is our bar model, and in class we usually say this is our candy bar. I think we use a lot of times. So this is my one whole circle, one whole bar, and let's say we divide it in half. Let's share that candy bar with 4 different people equally. Want to have fair share. Now, let's say 4 more people walked up. Well, we need to share it with them, and now we've got eighths. Okay, we could do the same thing. What if there were 3 people wanting to share a candy bar? Well, let's do thirds. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Okay, and then 3 more people walked up, and we can change that real quick, and now we've got sixths. Okay, and then we could, if 3 more people came up, not 3 more, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, we would have twelfths. Okay, so you can see our common models, and the last common model is the number line, right? This one is the one that gets y'all tripped up sometimes, but it shouldn't. If you think about what one whole thing is, okay, let's say this is 0 and this is 1. Okay, this could be used for anything, distance, or even just describing anything. Okay, it's just another model. So how is the number line divided? Let's say it's divided like this. What's my denominator? Okay, well, my one whole is here, and it's divided into 2 equal parts. So this is 0 of 2 equal parts. This is 1 out of 2 equal parts, or 1/2, and this is 2 out of 2 equal parts, or 1 whole thing. Okay, we can also say that, oh, now it's divided into 4 equal parts, right? 1, count the spaces, 2, 3, 4. Do not count the tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. No, no. 4 equal parts. Count the spaces. Think of it as an object or a distance, okay, that's divided up equally. Now you need to be able to see, well, you say now, but it's fourths. Well, it's still halves too. You have to be able to see with your eye that's divided differently. It could be still in halves or fourths, because I could see, oh, there's my 2 equal parts, 1, 2, or I see it as 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. Okay, so we would have, if I want to describe it as fourths, 0 out of 4 parts, that's still 0. It's nothing. We're not going anywhere. We don't have anything. Then I bounce over here, and I'm at 1/4. I bounce again, and this is describing 2 of the 4 parts, which 2 is half of 4, which is equivalent to 1/2. If I bounce here, I have a point that is 3/4. And 1 more bounce, I'm at 4/4, or 1 whole thing, which that 1 got kind of mixed up. Okay, now I'm going to speed this up a little bit. What does it mean to compare? This is also a review. When we compare numbers, okay, we are saying, I know one is larger or smaller than the other, and so sometimes numbers are greater than other numbers. Sometimes they are less than other numbers. Sometimes they're the same as, and we use that symbol, right? Y'all know this, okay? So let's just practice. Let's say I have the number 5 and I have the whole number 6. Not fractions, just whole numbers. How do I compare these using symbols? Well, 5 is, you'll know, is less than 6. Okay, so I choose the less than sign. A lot of you like to say the alligator's eating the bigger number, and I'm fine with that. As long as you know that the real reason for this is that it's describing a progression. We're going from smaller to larger, okay? And let's say we have 8 and 8. How do we compare these numbers? Oh, those are the same. This side is the same as this side, and this side is the same as this side. They are equivalent, okay? And that's what we're working on with fractions today in your Google slides that you're going to do today. You're going to be doing comparing fractions, okay? So if you have, you'll have to identify the fraction. It could be a circle model. Let's say that it is a circle model, and you have each model, you have to identify the shaded part of each model and then compare it. What goes here? Is it greater than, less than, or equal to? Okay. And I've got, first I got to identify, here's my whole, and I can see that my whole is divided into 4 equal parts and one of those parts is shaded. Then I go over here and say, okay, well, here's my whole, and there's 4, it's divided into 4 equal parts, and one of those parts is shaded. Okay, I don't know why I did that. Now, is there a problem with this? Yes, there is. There's a huge problem. You should have seen it right when I drew it, and I hope you know that. I can't compare this. I can't compare this to that because why? My holes are different sizes. Can't do that. So wrong. And I think some of y'all probably caught me on that. But let's say these are perfectly equal. Now let's compare. I'm going to move. Let's do this one. Okay. I identify my whole. I can see that my whole is divided into 4 equal parts. There's my denominator, and one of those parts is shaded. If I want to compare this fraction to this fraction, this model to this model, I know that those are the same. This side is the same as this side as far as value goes, okay? Let's change it and say, well, what about this? Well, now I identify my whole. I see that my whole is divided into 4 equal parts. 2 of those parts are shaded. Well, now things change. If I compare this, I know that this value is not as much as this value. So this value is more. So 1/4 is less than 2/4. Okay. And you can do this with a bar model or with a number line. I'm going to show you a number line. Let's say we've got 0 here, 1 here, 0 and 1. And let's just do fourths again. No, let's do eighths. Okay. And let's say they have a point here and a point here. Okay. So we've got 1, 2. We've got to first identify your whole. Always from 0 to 1. There's my one whole thing. That number line could keep on going, and let's say it goes all the way down there to 2. You just pretend that it's going. It is still going. But your 1, and even if they put those little tick marks, you have to identify the whole. Here is your whole from this point to this point, right here. Okay. because 0 to 1, that is 1 from 0 to 1. It could even be 1 to 2. From 1 to 2, that's another whole. Or from 3 to 4, that's one whole. When you're looking at fractions, you've got to identify the whole. Okay? So I can see, I look at my one whole, I've identified it. That part doesn't matter because that's not part of my one whole. And I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. So I know my denominator is 8. And then how I want to describe this point. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6/8. I'm 6/8 of the way down there. Okay, now compare that with this one. Okay, I've got to identify my hole, and I can see that those, here's my hole right here. Is it right there? Yeah, I did not do a neat job. And so I've got to see how my one hole is divided, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts is my denominator, and I want to describe that point, this point right here. So out of the 8 parts, I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm at 5/8. Okay, so I'm going to compare 5/8 to 6/8. Okay, well, which is more, or closer to 1, you might say, or closer to 0, depending on how you look at it. I'm looking at, I'm just going to rewrite it 6/8, and I want to compare that with 5/8. We know that I've got 6 little 1/8 pieces, right? Or 5 little 1/8 pieces. So if I have 6 little 1/8 pieces, that's better. That's larger than 5 1/8 pieces. Okay. Another thing that you notice, that you need to notice, is as we'll go back to a circle. What's happening to my denominator? What's my denominator? I identify my whole. It's divided into 4 equal parts. That's my denominator. I'm going to do this. Now, what's my denominator? My whole is there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Okay. But did you notice what happened to the parts? A fourth of that is right here. All of that. But an eighth is right here. One of these, right? Or this is an eighth. But this is a fourth. You know? That's a fourth, and just that part is an eighth. So there's an eighth, I'm saying, and there, let's say this is a fourth. Okay. Well, fourths are larger than eighths, which is backwards from the way we usually think. And if I went ahead and took my eighths and made more pieces, I'm making more pieces, but what's happening to the pieces? They're doing what? They're getting smaller. So once I did that to my eighths, now I'm at 16ths again, and you can see as my denominator gets larger, my pieces get what? Smaller. And there's that connection. You have to know that. You have to understand that. Okay. And it has to be that quick. When, I mean, we're learning now, but that's something you need to strive for. When someone says 16ths, 1/16th, do you want one? They can come up to you and say, hey, you want 1/16th of this piece of gum? Or do you want 1/2 of this piece of gum, or 1/4 of this piece of gum? You need to know immediately, no, I don't want 1/16th of it. What's the point? That's just a teeny tiny piece of one piece of gum, right? If somebody says, do you want 1/16th of $1 million, though, you say, sure, yes, I do. That is quite a chunk of change. So let's move on to the next thing. I want to show you, we've done that part. So now I want to show you your Google assignment. Okay. And I'm going to stop the share and then reshare. And here it is. Hang on, just kidding. Here it is. It's going to look something like this, and you can interact with it. It starts with this one, okay? You're going to go through, and I think this is my first time with Google Sheets, so y'all just bear with me. That first one, you're actually going to be able to type your name in there, okay? Let's say, oh no. Oh no, undo. Back it up. There we go. I'm not going to do that. I think on yours it's going to work better. You could put your name in there, then you'll go to your next slide, and you can actually manipulate the numbers. 50, and we're starting with whole numbers. Just a review of comparing. Place a number in the box to show a correct answer. So I don't think I can, oh, yeah, I can. Once you get those 4 arrows, let's say 46, they're saying 46 is less than what? Well, is it less than 28? No. But it is less than 63, so I'm going to do that. And then you've got to put these in the correct place here, okay? Then I'll go to my next slide. And you're doing the same thing, I believe. Wait, yeah. I don't know why it's got 3 slides. We're going to have to play with this. Y'all play with it. If you get hung up, just let me know. These, okay. Maybe I was missing something, but I want to hurry up and don't want you to spend all day watching this video. Here, the numerator is the number on top. Circle the numerator. So you're going to get your 4 arrows and put the numerator, circle the numerator. Okay. I'm going to go down to the next slide. Denominator, you're going to do the same thing. Here, you don't have to click on these. It might ask you to download stuff. If it does, and if it's a pain, don't worry about it. It's just some interactive websites that you could use, but you don't have to. Not required. You don't have to. But if you're having trouble, or parents, those are some good places to go. Now you get down here, write both fractions, use a symbol to compare. So here, first of all, I've got to identify the fraction that she's holding. She's holding her whole as a fraction bar. The whole is divided into 3 parts, so I can change that to a 3. And then what part, usually it doesn't say on here, but we're going to go with the shaded part because they didn't say. So one of the 3 parts is shaded. And then I've got to go over here and identify, well, what's my denominator? See, I just click in there to get those, oopsie. There it is. No, y'all, for a non-technology lady, this is too much, but I'm learning. Don't know what I did. Anyway, that's 2 out of 3. So 2/3, 1/3 versus 2/3. Where did my arrows go? I don't know. But 2/3, this better work. Anyway, let's go down to the next one. Let's see if I can't mess that up. I'm going to identify, I'm going to start with my denominator because that's kind of how I've been telling y'all. My whole bar model, it's been equally divided into 5 parts. So there's my denominator. The parts that are shaded are 4 out of the 5. And then I go over here, starting with my denominator, and I see that it's still, she's got a fraction bar model, and it's still 5 equal parts. So I'm going to put a 5 there, tap up here, and one of those 5 are shaded. Now I've got to compare. So I've got to choose one of these. Are they equal? Are they the same on both sides? No. Clearly, 4/5 is greater than 1/5. Did that work? Yes. Okay. And then you go to the next slide, and now we're comparing on a number line. So it's just what we talked about. Identify the fraction, then compare them. This one I like because it's vertical. Okay, here's 0, there's 1. There's your 1 whole. It's identified. How is it divided? It's divided into 1, 2, 3 parts. So there's my denominator for this side, 3. Okay, how many from 0? There's 1/3. Oh, 2/3. It's even labeled on there. 2/3. Okay, then do the same thing over here and then compare. All right, then you've got, a hexagonal model. Hexagons, we just did that. Same thing. Same way as a circle. It doesn't really matter. And then we got an octagon that they're comparing. I'm liking this more and more the more I look at it. And then number lines. And then the last one is some games and stuff. Again, you don't have to. If it's a pain, you don't want to download it. You don't have to, but it's an option there for you. Then when you're finished, I believe you'll be able to submit that to me. Just like we did the Khan Academy exercise, okay? So you're just doing the 18 slides for the day, and that is your math lesson for the day, and I will be grading the slides, okay? If you have any questions, text or call. And I'm sorry this video took me so long to get correct, to get it to upload and everything such as that. So I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.